think it's going to be a fun discussion, an insightful discussion. It could be a little controversial, but the goal is not to have the controversy unless it guides us to higher levels of understanding. Okay. So, at the end of the day, my goal is to create light, but to create light in such a way that everybody wins, everybody benefits, and not in such a way that that is not productive, not helpful to people, and not helpful to the community. So I want to say, hey, how you doing, Chicago Let, and Jay Wright, and African Natty, and I see S&J Consulting Services. How you doing? So let's just jump right into it. Stephen Jones and Lawrence and John Doe. All right, so here's what I wanted to address. For some reason last night, I don't know why, things come to me in my dreams when I'm sleeping. I don't know if that makes me weird or smart or whatever. I don't know what I am, but things come to me while I'm sleeping. And one of the things that came to me was the Black church. And I know what it was. I think I heard something that someone else said about the church. And I felt that we needed to kind of flesh out a little bit of what was said. I think that when it comes to the Black church, there are conversations that are had that are necessary, but not always productive. Discussions that are kind of beneficial, but not as beneficial as they could be if they were had in a different context. I mentioned it on my Instagram. Hey, Lavelle, how you doing? On the real Boyce Watkins, that's my Instagram. I brought it up to you guys this morning, and I saw that there were a lot of mixed comments on the topic. And I thought that it would be worth it to dig a little deeper into this and try to really flesh out a conversation about the Black church. Now, I want to make this 100% clear. I want to start off right here. First things first, I want to make sure that you understand this. If you're looking for a conversation where I'm going to bash the Black church, you're in the wrong place. That's not what I'm going to do. That's not what I want to do. I don't think it's beneficial to do that. I don't think it's accurate to do that. The reason I don't think it's beneficial or accurate, first of all, it's not beneficial because you can't get someone to consider modifying their approach if all you're doing is, talking crazy about them and telling them how much you hate them and you think that they're stupid and everything else. And I think that there's enough out there for that. There's enough people out there that will tell you, all the flaws of, everything from white Jesus to what some of the pastors do and pimps in the pulpit and everything else. And not to say that all those things are not true, not to say that those things don't happen, but it's to say that that's not relevant for a conversation like this. Also, the reason it's not accurate is because it's almost like when white folks want to plaster Michael Jackson and R. Kelly and Bill Cosby on national TV, and they want the world to think that every Black male is a threat, every Black male is a predator, and we know that's not accurate. Well, I think that when we plaster the most corrupt pastors up in front of the world, we plaster the most ratchetry, the most ratchet church in America in front of everybody, we're giving people the impression that the entire Black church and everybody in it is ratchet and stupid and harmful to the community. I'm not one of those people. I happen to have a father who's a pastor. I happen to have friends that I respect who run churches. For example, I have a friend named Kevin Cosby out of Louisville, Kentucky, who runs St. Stephen's Church, which is the largest Black mega church in the state of Kentucky. And I happen to think he does a great job. I happen to think that he's a great intellectual. I happen to think that he's a guy that has a tremendous vision for that church. It's not without controversy, but he's doing the best he can with what he has. And I believe his heart's in the right place. So I'm not here to bash the Black church. So if that's what you're looking for, I'm not your guy on this. What I am, though, is I'm a person that wants to lay out a discussion. Now, hit the thumbs up button, by the way. If you're on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button. We need you to hit the thumbs up button so more people will see the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. I am the guy who can come along and say, okay, let's look at what we've got. Let's think about the church like a great player on your basketball team. We're team Black people. We're all on the same team. We're all in the same gang, so to speak, right? And as members of the same team, we got this player on the team who's 6'11", 250 pounds of pure muscle, who we think could be better than LeBron, but and he's a good contributor, but he's not scoring as many points as he could, right? He should be averaging, 28, 29 points a game. He's averaging 14. So he's contributing, but he's not excelling at the level that we believe that he can excel. That's how I view the Black church. I view the Black church as an institution that has value in the community. I believe the Black church has value in the community. We don't have many institutions in the community. They destroyed our institutions. In integration, their goal was to tear down everything you got so you become dependent on what they got. Their goal was to get you to kill off everything that you have so that you can become entirely dependent on what they have. They wanted you to burn down your house to come live in their house. And now you see how that's working out for you. How's that old integration civil rights thing working out for you, Black people? Tell me how you feel. Go ahead, make a comment. Talk Black to me right now. I need somebody to tell me, how's that integration, George Wilson, how's that integration thing working out for you? Do you feel empowered when white people are telling you what to do every day? Do you feel empowered when they're controlling your life? Do you feel empowered when people like, Donald Trump get to decide what your budget is going to be this year? I mean, do you feel empowered by this? Yes or no? Yes or no, Black people? Tell me if you feel empowered right now. Well, the reason you're not empowered is because you don't have institutions like you used to. You used to have, your own schools. You don't have those anymore. You used to have your own businesses. You don't have those anymore. You used to have strong, stable families. You don't have those anymore. The only institution that you have is the church. The only institution you really have left actually is the Black church, right? So I'm not here to tell everybody pack up your stuff and let's go down and see how Jesus is doing this morning. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even go to church. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a church goer. But I am a person who sees this when I'm looking at this Black power thing on a larger scale. I see the Black church as an important player on Team Black people. I think the church is one of the few places where there's structure. The church is one of the few places where there are resources. The church is also one of the few places where you actually do have good leadership in there. I mean, let's stop getting into this habit of putting every church in the same bucket. There are thousands and thousands of churches out here. They're not all the same. We know that, right? Life Lesson says, I'm new to your channel. He's so glad to catch you live. Well, I'm glad to see that you're here and welcome to the family. And just so you know, I am a crazy Black man. So just be ready for a hell of a roller coaster ride. I'm going to probably upset you and make you mad about once a week. And so just think of me as the crazy uncle who every now and then he says something that makes some sense. Okay. So that's what I am. Just call me the crazy Uncle Boyce. All right. So and keep hitting that thumbs up button. Please do that. Please hit the thumbs up button. That brings more people into the conversation. Also, of course, share and subscribe to drboycetv.com. We're building Black media. We're reaching 1 million people a week or more. So we need your help. So please right now hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. Also, if you want notifications when we go live, you want to be in the loop when we go live, all you have to do is text my name, text Boyce, B-O-Y-C-E to 31996. Do that. That's really important also because YouTube and Facebook, they throttle, they don't tell everybody when you go live. And I want you guys to know when we're live. So if you want us to be able to notify you, please text the word Boyce to 31996. Am I hosting any classes in New York City? Not anytime soon, but pretty soon I'm going to do a little bit of something. But so anyway, so let's keep going. Okay. So, if you are a member of a church or part of church leadership, I want to let you know first and foremost that I'm not going to come in and talk crazy about how much money the pastors are making or what kind of car the pastor's driving. I'm not going to say anything about the building fund, which we know you got some churches where they always got the building fund for 30 years and ain't no building getting built, right? Like it's like one of those invisible schools where you collect lots of money to build the school and the school never gets built. That's me. That's me being sneaky and silly right there. But y'all get the point. So I'm not here to question the fact that, the churches get together every week to save souls. That's, if that's where your heart is, then I respect that. Here's what I want to propose to you is this. When you are a steward of wealth, when you are a manager of resources, there is a certain responsibility placed upon you to be able to maximize the benefits of those resources. Now, I'm a finance professor. I've been teaching college students finance for 25 years, so I know finance extremely well. And one of the things that we know about finance and about wealth and about capital is that in an appropriate, or what they will call an efficient market, in a market that is well functioning, capital should be placed to or in its most productive use. Capital should be maximized in terms of how it's used. What does that mean? Let me give you an example. Let's say that I own a car, and it's a great car. The car works. Car drives down the street just fine. Doesn't break down for nothing. And let's say that I don't even drive the damn thing. I keep the car in my garage. I just leave it in my garage and I don't use it for anything, right? Now, let's say my neighbor says, well, I need to go to work every day to make money, and I don't have a car, right? Well, it would be kind of a waste, right? For me to have a car that I have in my garage that's just sitting there and not being used, and my neighbor needs a car. Let's say my neighbor is my brother, right? And my brother's like, hey man, I need a ride to work. I need a car I can drive to work. Can I use your car, right? Well, it would be silly for me to say, no, I want the car to sit in the garage. That's what I really want it to do. What would be a better deal would be for me to say, okay, sure, I'll sell you the car, right? Maybe I can even give it to him if it's from my brother, but if it's my neighbor and just a friend, I might say, hey, well, okay, give me 20,000. You can have this, it's yours, right? And so what basically is being done there is you're taking capital. Capital is something that is used to generate resources, to get more resources, right? Like it might be something that's used to make money in this particular case. So that car is a piece of capital. When people talk about Black people lacking capital, what they're saying is that Black people don't have enough things in place that allow them to generate more income. That's why we all have to go to work for white folks, because the only type of capital you have is what they call human capital, which is basically labor. The same stuff you used during slavery, except now you're just a paid slave instead of an unpaid slave. Slavery means that when you get up in the morning, you don't get to decide what you're going to do. Somebody else decides what you're going to do. So don't think that you have to be unpaid in order to be a slave. That's just not true. There are plenty of slaves that are very high paid. You have some celebrities in Hollywood who are slaves who make $10 million a year. So let's just be clear about that. So effectively, this car, which is a piece of capital, must be in a good market, put to its best available use. Which means that if my neighbor can buy that car from me and go make an extra $80,000 a year, then it makes sense for him to own the car and not for me to have the car, because I'm just sitting the car in the garage. Well, all that money that the church is collecting, all that money the church is bringing in for the building fund or whatever it is, that is capital. And what I'm arguing is that this capital may not be put to its best available use for a couple of reasons. One of which, not the least of which, is that I wonder if the leadership and the individuals who control that capital are as economically aware as they should be in terms of what the best use for that capital might be. So if a church is collecting, $20,000 a week, let's say, are they the people that bring in that 20 grand a week? Are they trained in financial literacy? Do they understand how to invest? Do they understand how to create a job? Do they understand how to start a business? Do they understand the basics of real estate? Do they understand what to do with that money in order to take that money and turn it into more money, or to activate that money and do something that's going to benefit as many people as possible? Can they do like Jesus did in the Bible? Didn't Jesus take a fish or something and find a way to feed 300 people or something with one fish? I don't remember the whole story. See, I told you I don't go to church. I ain't gonna lie. But wasn't there a story where Jesus took a piece of fish and fed everybody with the fish, right? Well, that's what I'm talking about. Jesus took a little bit that was handed to him and was able to maximize that capital by making sure everybody benefited from the capital and not just a few. He could have just took the fish and ate it himself, but instead he was somehow able to, because of his skill, able to take that one piece of fish or bread or whatever, well, maybe it was fish and bread or fish and chips, or I don't know, and feed everybody, right? Well, what I believe is that churches that are properly managed, churches that are run by people who understand the essence of finance and investing and economic development, can be designed in a way where you're maximizing the number of people that you're feeding. That you're feeding, you're feeding 1,000 people as opposed to feeding 20 or 50 or 100, right? So let's look at this in a couple of examples. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please hit the thumbs up button. Also, if you want to know when we go live, somebody type this number in, 31996. That's the text number, 31996. Text Boyce, my name Boyce, to 31996, and you'll be notified when we go live. Also, don't forget we're on iTunes now. So if you want to listen to my show on your way to work, and I'm live all the time. I'm always talking about the issues of the day, from financial topics all the way to stuff like Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, or whatever Black folks are talking about. We're talking about that here. We're on iTunes, so you can look up my name, Boyce Watkins, on iTunes, and you can download the show. Okay, so if you think about it like this, think about the difference between an apple tree versus apple seeds, right? So the way churches run, many of them, and I can't put them all in one group because I told y'all churches are all different. So let's stop summarizing and saying all the churches are the same. That's just not true. A lot of churches I've seen, because of the nature of thinking for those in leadership and the way we traditionally run churches, they sort of run themselves like an apple tree that feeds lots of people with the apples that are on that tree, right? Most churches, if you actually look at the study, I was reading Black Enterprise analyzed what churches do with the money. Churches have collected, I think they collect Black churches collect $17 to $20 billion a year. They've collected a total of about $500 billion over the last 40, 50 years. 60% of that budget, 60% of the church budget goes toward staffing, right? So this idea that all the money is being put in the pastor's pocket so he can drive a Bentley, that's typically not true. That's just not true, typically. Don't get me wrong. Not to say there aren't pastors out here that are living large. I personally have never had an issue with that, largely because I believe that the pastor and the church, they're providing a service for people. It's no different from going to see a comedian. The comedian makes you laugh, and you don't care that the comedian is driving a Bentley because he makes you laugh, because you're basically saying, look, as long as you are entertaining me, I'll keep paying you, right? Well, the pastor, to some extent, for some people, he's providing a service. He or she is providing spiritual upliftment, entertainment of some form, not so much a ticket to heaven. I don't even think that really comes into play so much. I think it comes down to people picking their pastor and saying, this guy did a good job. He gave us his time. I'm going to give him a little something for his time. I don't have an issue with it because y'all paying white people all the time. Y'all pay white people for nothing. Y'all love giving money to white people for any damn thing. Y'all don't sit around and wonder, what the guy from Apple Computer, I buy a new iPhone every year. What's this son of a bitch doing with my money? Or I bought, I went out to McDonald's the other day. I heard the McDonald's CEO was driving a Bentley. He's corrupt. He's stealing from us. No, he performed a service and you paid him. Now, I'm not trying to say that every pastor is a wonderful person. I'm not saying that there aren't pimps in the pulpit, liars, cheaters, whatever. But I'm saying that sometimes we have this interesting standard where we're almost like we expect every person who runs a church to take a vow of poverty. I don't think they should have to do that, because the reason you come to that church is because they're performing a service for you. And if someone's performing a service for you, you should give them something for that. If you come to me and you talk to me and you make me feel better, I don't care if you're a therapist, a comedian, or a pastor, you make me feel better, then, why can't I take, I'm going to go up in here. Let me look at my wallet. How much money I got in my wallet? Let me just tell you, I'm going to tell y'all a little secret right now. I got a little change. I went to the ATM, right? and I got about $120 in my wallet right now. Do you know that most of this money is probably going to end up going to white people somehow? I'm going to end up out with the kids. We might go to, a fast food restaurant. This morning, the queen went out and she went to Dunkin' Donuts and got me. I said, hey, baby, give me a chocolate donut. Not the ones that are chocolate with the actual donut, but the ones that are like almost like glazed with chocolate frosting. And get me a croissant with sausage, egg, and cheese on it. This is money to white people, money to white people. I have a bottle of Aquafina water. Last time I checked, this is not a black-owned company. What else I got on my desk? Oh, here's another, look at this. So since I've been running and exercising, I've been eating Special K protein bars. This is what I eat to try to keep my weight down, because y'all know I'm trying to get slim, trim, and sugar free. I got a half marathon this weekend. I'm scared to death. I need y'all to pray to white Jesus and black Jesus to help me get through that race, and I'll keep y'all posted because I'm really nervous about that race. But I've been eating the protein bars. Special K is not a black-owned company. There's more money to white people. So look, here's the thing. Look, I'm not sitting here trying to say that every pastor is a wonderful person. I'm not trying to say that they're always doing what we would want them to do with that money. But I am here to say to you, look, man, come on. You're gonna give all that damn money to white people and no questions asked. Not one question asked. But I give $3 in the collection plate for the pastor who sat up there busting his ass for me for an hour and a half, sweating and damn near having a heart attack because he's old and been preparing his lecture the entire week. Why can't I give that man $3 and ask no question when I'm about to go give white folks $100 with no questions asked? Seriously, black. I mean, seriously. Again, I'm not justifying everything horrible that happens in the church. Lord Jesus knows I'm not going to do that. I am not going to justify every crazy thing that you've seen a pastor do. I'm just here to say that maybe we have bigger fish to fry, right? Maybe we have bigger fish to fry. Maybe sometimes, they say familiarity breeds contempt. So maybe it's because the pastor is black like us that we have a little more scorn toward him. Maybe, because he's black and he's touchable, right? You can't touch the head of Apple Computer, but you give them thousands of dollars before your life is over. You can't touch the head of Burger King, but you probably gave them some money too. You can't touch the head of Aquafina water, but I buy a lot of water, but that pastor, he becomes, in the minds of some people, he's that nigga over there. Look at that nigga driving that damn fancy car. What kind of shoes? He got those alligator shoes. It looks like he spent $250 on those shoes. Nigga over there, right? That's what we do. Some of us get really angry when we see another black person doing really, really well. And it's natural because we've been trained to hate each other. We've been trained to fight each other. We also have a community where there's a lot of despair. There's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of stress. White folks are beating all of us down, a lot of us down. And when you are abused, you tend to abuse other people around you. You abuse the people you love. A man who's being oppressed on his job will come home and slap his wife, even though his wife is the number one person in his corner, right? So that's what abuse kind of does to people. It causes you to abuse other people that are around you. So it is what it is. But here's the thing. So, look, when we're talking about pastors and we're talking about churches, what I'm really calling for is not so much a matter of churches being ashamed of themselves or being told that you're bad people. What I'm asking you to do is to consider this. Consider the fact that, as an institution that is in the black community, an institution that benefits from the black community, that benefits from the generosity of the black consumer, why not challenge yourselves to go to a level of higher learning and understanding so that you can not just better serve the people who serve you and give you their money, but you can also serve yourself. You can also serve yourself. What does that mean? Well, a lot of churches, again, let's go back to the numbers earlier from Black Enterprise. Churches make about $17 to $20 billion a year. Black churches do. About 60% of that budget goes toward paying staff. And then there's a lot of money that goes toward charity. Churches do a lot of charity. I remember when I was little, going and getting food at the church and playing basketball at the church, joining programs after school at the church. This stuff ain't free. You might think it's free. You might expect it to be free. You might say, oh, well, because you work for the Lord, you should be doing everything for free. Just because it's free to you don't mean it's free around all the way around. Everything that's free has a price attached to it. So when somebody gives you something that is free, you gotta kind of think about that twice, right? You gotta realize it ain't free. Who's paying for this, right? So when the church is having free food, well, that food costs somebody some money somewhere. Or if somebody's volunteering to help you with your taxes at the church, well, that's their time. That's not free for them. Okay, so understand that the things the churches do free aren't really free. And so given that that's the case, but given that the many churches, the good ones anyway, the ones that are running as well as they can, they pay their staff, which means they're creating jobs for people, and then they do a lot of charity. Well, I want churches to go beyond doing charity for the community. I want them to think beyond charity, right? And instead of thinking about charity, I want them to focus on investment. Don't just give charity to your people, invest in your people. You see, charity is like this. Let's say that I'm in my family and I'm in my family. I'm the patriarch of my family. I'm gonna tell you all the truth. I believe in patriarchy and matriarchy. I don't believe the word patriarchy is a bad word. That's why feminists get mad at me, because I don't fall for that liberal nonsense. I think liberals pulled a loop-de-loop on the minds of Black people and got us all screwed up and scrambled and confused. So I'm the patriarch of my family. I'm a real man. I pride myself in being a man and standing up and taking care of lots and lots of people. And I love doing that. I love that role. But here's the thing, as the patriarchy, or as the patriarch, when you have a certain amount of income, you can do it a couple of ways. Like let's say an NBA star, he goes off to the NBA, he's making $1 million a year. Well, what happens? He naturally takes an economic leadership role where people in the family who have economic problems come to him and ask for his help. Like the movie The Godfather. Anybody see the movie The Godfather? In the movie The Godfather, they started in the beginning where everybody was coming to the Godfather's daughter's wedding, and he was just sitting in his office receiving people, and they'd come in and they'd kiss his ring. Godfather, I have this favor to ask, and he say, I will grant you this favor, right? And that's kind of what happens, right? And so you end up having people, you're the godfather or the godmother, and you've got some resources, and all these people are coming to you and your family that are asking you for help. And that's fine, and that's how a lot of families operate. The problem with that model is that as deep as it is, or as noble as it is, and it's consistent with the church's model as well. As noble as that model is, it's a tough model, because what happens is that everybody's coming to the patriarch, the matriarch, or the leader and asking for something, and they're taking something, but nobody's putting anything back. So if you're not careful, then you can end up having the person that's the source of economic support for everyone else going broke, because they're helping everybody. How many of you, tell me this, answer this question for me. How many of you have heard 1,000,001 stories about NBA athletes who get to the league and end up going broke? How many of you heard these stories? There's 1,000,001 stories out here. They're always on ESPN. They love to talk about Black people who go broke, and then they love to blame it on their families, their entourages, or their own stupidity. How many of you have seen those stories? Yes, you've seen those stories. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's one part of those stories that they don't talk about. Many athletes go broke, not because they're just dummies, or they're just putting all their money in stripper thongs, or they're buying $3,000 shoes and $5,000 suits and $200,000 cars. A lot of them go broke due to generosity, excessive generosity. What happens is, in their families, they become the apple tree, and everybody's coming and picking an apple. Everybody's coming and they're just raping that tree. They're just getting every apple off the tree, pulling off every leaf, chewing on the bark, right? Now, what's going to happen? I want to ask you this question. I want you to follow this logically here. What happens to a tree if the tree has too many parasites? Every tree is going to have some parasites that are eating off the tree, all the way from the monkeys that grab fruit off the tree to the little bacteria or little insects that might chew on the bark. What happens to the tree if the tree has too many parasites that are consistently eating off the tree? The tree is going to die. The tree's going to die, right? Because everybody's coming to take something, but nobody's coming to give something, right? So, and a lot of you understand that. Tell me if you're in that role in your family where you get drained from all the people coming to you with their financial problems, asking for money, borrowing money, never paying it back, or just you go to dinner. They look at you when the bill arrives, right? You're looking at the bill, it's $300, $250 because you don't fed everybody, right? But you're the one trying to hold up all of this because you're the one who went to Harvard Law School and you're supposed to be the one that always has plenty of money. Well, that's why a lot of people that went to Harvard Law School end up going broke, because they become the tree and everybody else is showing up trying to pull apples off the tree. So the church is kind of in that role as well. At least churches that are managing their money properly, they become the tree and everybody comes to grab an apple. So so out of that budget, out of that money that they make every year, 60% of it goes toward paying the staff, and a big chunk of the rest goes toward charity. And then maybe the pastor gets something so he can pay his bills, or she can pay her bills. But most churches are not on this whole, let the pastor drive a Bentley sort of thing. A lot of churches really are trying to do the work. So what I'm saying to churches is I believe that by having good economic leadership, well-trained economic stewards within that church, you can consider alternative models of economic development that go beyond the whole tree, give everybody an apple model. I believe that investing in the community can and should be as important as doing charity for the community. The reason that churches focus on the charity aspect is I believe that because there's this huge, I call it liberal, socialist, communist kind of influence that says, if you care about a group of people, what you do is you take everything you got and you just keep giving away, give, right? And those who understand economics at a deep level, like myself, that we see instantly that model's not sustainable. If you're giving everything away, then what's going to maintain the thing that's producing the thing that everybody's getting? It's like when I talk to Dr. Alicia, my queen, she's the mother of the year, always doing stuff for the kids. Give to the kids. Kids need something, mama. And she runs to their support constantly. And I told her, I said, no, we're going to stop some of that, because there have to be times where we take time to make sure that you are sustained as the mother. You're doing all the giving, but there are times where we need to give to you, because if we don't sustain you, then everybody loses. If you kill the tree, then there are no more apples. And so those who, for example, you have people out here that hate, they hate businesses. They think all rich people are terrible. They think if you got a business, I want to tear you down because you're exploiting, you're stealing from black folks or whatever. So they destroy all of that. They're like, you should give everything away. Or there are governments that will go in and they will take over the business and say, we're going to give everything to the people. Well, then what happens is they tear down the business, they tear down the means of production, they give everything away, and then a couple of years later, you have nothing left. Why? Well, because your means of production is now dead. It's now deflated. So that's what I explained to Alicia. I said, you're their mother. I'm not going to let them push you to the ground to where they kill you. And then ain't none of us got a person that we can go to anymore, because, wore the mother down. A lot of families like that. There are mothers that die because they so busy taking care of everybody else that nobody ever stops to take care of the tree. Nobody stops and takes care of Big Mama, right? So I'm just telling you right now, tell me if you see this. Have you ever seen somebody that is so giving to other people that they don't take any time for themselves? They never take a spa day. They never take a break. They don't get enough sleep. They give away all their money. They give away all their time. They give away all their energy. And then they become drained. The next thing you know, they're depressed, in a straitjacket, broke as hell, can't do nothing for nobody. It's like driving the hell out of your car and you don't even stop to change the oil or put gas in that damn thing. How is your car going to get you down the street if you don't stop and take care of that car? So I believe that when you talk about a model that is charity-based versus investment-based, what you're doing is you're taking care of the tree so the tree can over time produce more apples. And then with those apples, you don't just focus on taking apples down and eating the apples, you plant apple seeds so that you can grow the tree, strengthen the tree, and grow other trees. you grow more apple trees. That's how investment's supposed to work. Investment is not supposed to be, it's like charity is where you benefit, I lose, because I just gave you something, which is what they call a zero-sum game in economics, which means when you gain something, I'm losing something, right? That's not fun. It's not fun to live like that. But what if there was a partnership? This is what investing is, where I give you something and I get something back. Then I can give you more, and then you can give me more back. And then we're both growing strong because we're helping each other out. And the only way you can tap into that model, though, the only way you can tap into that is you have to have a certain level of economic understanding, which goes back to my original point, which is why I mentioned to you very clearly that churches, in my opinion, should be led by people that have certain amounts of foundational economic understanding, such that they know how to take what they have and do more with it. They know how to create maybe a symbiotic or a recursive relationship with the community, so that I'm investing in you, which allows you to invest in us. We get stronger, you get stronger, everybody wins. Everybody wins. In fact, a good church, to me, is one where it's okay that the pastor might be rich by the time it's done, but also everyone that's part of the church, everybody's doing business with the church, is doing better, right? That's what economic development is. Economic development is where you manage your resources in a certain way where everybody in your space is just doing better because you're creating an economy. That's how economies work. Do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button. If you're on YouTube, please stop and hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe to drboycetv.com. I want to say hi to everybody on the Your Black World channel as well. Also, in case you guys don't know, today's the last day to get 40% off the Dr. Boyce Economic Bundle Pack. I've got a series of digital lectures you can download that'll help you learn a whole lot of stuff about economics. So feel free, if you go to drboycebundlepack.com, there's a ton of lectures in there, like how to create your own family bank. The 2.5 hour long lecture I did with Minister Farrakhan's in there, where we talk about wealth, education, family, and community, an introduction to the basics of wealth building, how to create a business plan that puts your business on top, how to think like a millionaire, how to start a business with very little money, the rules of economic self-defense. All these lectures are about an hour and a half. So if you watch these with your family, you're going to really get like extensive economic training. So feel free to go check that out. You can go to drboycebundlepack.com. That's drboycebundlepack.com to get the discount. There's 40% off, and it's pretty awesome. I'm proud, if I do say so myself. All right, so let's keep going. So here's the thing. I think one of the first things many smart churches are going to do, in my opinion, is reconsider your revenue model. Reconsider your revenue model. When I talk to pastors, I spoke to a pastor one time, and I was asking him, I said, so how do you make your money? How do you bring revenue to the church? And he said, well, we pass the collection plate around. And I said, I think that's great. That's cool. I said, but when you're passing the collection plate around, you're getting people that'll give you a couple dollars here, maybe a little bit more, maybe $20 there or whatever. I said, and then it's straight charity. It's them just giving you something in exchange for nothing. I said, did you ever think about having a revenue model or supplementing your revenue model where you're offering certain products, whether they are books that people can buy, classes, programs they can buy, apparel that they can buy, etc. Maybe actually giving them something for their money will take the pressure off, because it's much easier for me to sell you something for $80 that has a lot of value than it is for me to ask you to give me $5. Right? Me asking you to give me $5 and giving you nothing in return, a lot of times is a lot harder than me selling you something of quality for $80. Because remember, all these people, seriously, Life Lessons or David Konoff or Roland Walker, if somebody walks up and says, hey, can you give me $20? Right? And you say, well, for what? And they say, just because it's the right thing to do. Right? Would you do that? Like you may not do it. You may be like, my money's tight. I don't really want to do it. I don't think I want to do it. Right. But if somebody's offering you a quality product and it costs $80, and let's say it's worth $150 and you get a discount on it, then you might gladly spend the $80. The same person who balked at giving away $20 might gladly spend $80 because they're getting something in exchange for their money. So I think churches should expand their revenue model. Don't just ask for donations. Maybe, sell things, like have a marketplace, right? Maybe help local businesses sell things in your Saturday marketplace, and let them pay a small fee. They should be willing to pay a small fee to compensate you for sharing your space with them and sharing your audience with them, etc. Also, I've seen churches, that have invested in franchises. I saw a church not too long ago that put a Subway. They got a Subway franchise and put the Subway franchise right there outside of the church, where as soon as you walk out the door, it's actually in the same building, but outside of the the main area where everybody meets, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't, I'm losing my words, but y'all know what I'm saying. And so when you come right out, you're hungry, right? Because you just got through listening to a 2.5 hour, sermon, and you're ready to eat. Well, the Subway's right there. So that's sanctuary. Thank you. See, I'm such a damn heathen. I shouldn't even be giving this conversation. I'm a heathen. I'm a terrible person. But anyway, so they come out of the sanctuary, and the Subway's right there. Like, hey, you're hungry? Here's some food, right? That Subway makes a killing every Sunday. Every Sunday, the line is super long, and they're making tons of money. And so they don't have to depend on the collection plate to get the money that they need. I've seen churches that have bought buildings and rented out the apartmental units, right? And my point on all this is to say that the best way, I believe, to really take advantage of these opportunities is to have people inside your church who are ethically thinking about the finances of the church, who are okay with thinking about, the church as an economic center, that can actually make ethical investments and allow their money to grow. I think a good example might be the Catholic Church. I mean, the Catholic Church does, take out the whole craziness with the kids and all that. They're up here talking about Michael Jackson, and you got thousands of your priests touching little boys. Get out of here with that. But economically speaking, the Catholic Church is nice, in my opinion, because on one hand, they do tons of charity. There's a ton of charity you'll get from the Catholic Church. But also, believe me, the Catholic Church is about their business. That's why they got the Vatican Bank. They got the Vatican Bank, okay? And they got bankers in the Vatican Bank that are just thinking about the economic side of the church. They might save your soul, but they definitely gonna save their money. And so, why not have the black banks that are connected to our churches? Why can't we get gangster with it too? Anyway, continue to move forward. Some other thoughts that I had on this, some recommendations, and I'm not here to just talk about stuff. And I told you all, I'm not here to bash the church. I'm not here to just complain about what they do or talk about bootleg pastors. People can do that somewhere else. I'm sure you got plenty of people that'll complain about the problem. I would rather solve it. I'd rather partner with the churches and support them in doing what they need to do, because I believe a lot of churches want to do the right thing. They just don't always know how. And so the first thing I would definitely say in terms of recommendations is I believe every church should have some sort of endowment or a portfolio. That means, stocks and real estate, et cetera, that you own, maybe some businesses that you own, franchises, things like that you manage. An endowment is what keeps an institution alive. Most universities, the reason white folks got Harvard and Yale and Stanford and all that is because all these institutions have a massive endowment of money that they can go to when they need resources. They can go to this endowment on a rainy day. The endowment is what sustains them. HBCUs are in deep economic trouble. HBCUs are on the brink of extinction because most of them don't have much of an endowment. Most of them don't have a big donor base. They don't have a lot of good business models. Their model is, we go to the government, we ask the government to give us money. If they give us money, we're good. If they don't give us money, we're bad. Is that really how you want to live? Is that really how you want your most cherished institutions to survive, based on the whims of people like Donald Trump, to whether or not they want to actually give their money or donate or to put money forth that will allow your institutions to thrive? That's not how you're going to make it. So I believe every church should have some sort of endowment. All that is a collection of assets and resources and wealth that you can utilize in order to survive and to function. Also, it should be set to grow. That's why you want somebody that can kind of manage this so they can allow it to grow. I think also churches should make strong relationships with local banks. Any bank where you're making deposits of your money, and maybe you can work with other churches on this, maybe not. Sometimes churches, they don't want to work together. That's fine. But one way you can help people in your church and in your community is to make 100% sure that these banks understand that in order to get your deposits, they're going to have to make loans to the people in the community, small business loans, home loans, etc. Because those loans are what allow people to jump the fence from being exploited economically to actually being able to benefit economically from the American economic system. Remember, I told you guys that the way to summarize capitalism in America is this. Summarize it, it's a pimp and hoe system. It's a horse and jockey system. Why do I say that? Well, because if you think about the horse and the jockey, the horse does all the work, the jockey gets all the credit. The jockey uses the horse to achieve a specific goal. At the end of the race, the jockey gets all the accolades, the jockey gets all the money, the horse doesn't get anything. They send him to the barn, they give him some hay, even though the horse did all the running, ran through the mud and all that. Well, in the American economic system, the three major pillars of wealth, which we teach on extensively in the Black Business School, the three major pillars of wealth are stock and bond investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship. Well, all of those are horse and jockey scenarios. Basically, there are situations where those who are financially literate are able to benefit from those who are not literate. Those who are financially disciplined benefit from those who are not disciplined. Warren Buffett actually said that basically investing is nothing more than a transfer of wealth from the impatient people to the patient people. Like the people that can wait get the wealth. The people who can't wait, who need it now, who want to spend right now, who have that consumer mindset, are going to be giving everything away. So you're funding the wealth of other people. So anyway, I think understanding that allows you to allows all of us to better run our families and better run our institutions. In fact, those of you who are not connected to a church, forget that. I mean, this analogy can apply to any economic institution, including your family. Like I think about my family like an institution. The Watkins family is something where our kids and grandkids are not going to want for things. We're going to have structure in place. We're going to have wealth in place. We're going to have assets in place so that you don't have to go and serve somebody in the pimp and hoe horse and jockey system in order to get what you need in order to survive. The reason that you grew up feeling like you had to go work for somebody or go work for the man is because for whatever reason, there was nothing there for you. There was no endowment for you to take care of you. An endowment could be as simple as owning some real estate, owning a big house that has hundreds of thousands of dollars in value tied into it, or owning some stocks, or having a business that is generating income. That's an apple, that the business becomes an apple tree and everybody can go and just sort of eat apples off that tree. Let's see, Dr. Boyce, if we are just waking up and never invested, what's the best route to go in your mid-40s? The best route to go in your mid-40s is not that much different from the route you would go if you were 14 years old. And what I mean by that is you got to remember that economics is a team sport. So you're not just trying to build wealth for yourself. You're trying to build something that's institutional wealth that lasts across generations, right? So I don't care if you're 100 years old. Your grandchildren are not 100 years old. Your great-grandchildren are probably maybe not even born yet. And so, when you're thinking about investing, you have to see the entire picture, the longer picture. And if the longer the picture is that you see, the bigger number of years you can see into the future, the greater your wealth expansion opportunities are. It's like if I'm trying to travel down the road and I give myself 2 days to get, and I say, I'm going to go as far as I can go in 2 days. Well, then there's maybe maybe a 100-mile radius that I can travel. But if I say, I'm going to go as far as I can go in 2 years, well, you could travel the whole earth. You could walk around the entire planet damn near in 2 years, right? So basically wealth is the same way. Wealth just grows kind of like watching a flower grow. The more time you give the flower to grow, the bigger it's going to get, right? Or the bigger, or a tree or whatever, right? And so basically when you're thinking about wealth, don't just think about what you're trying to do before you retire. Think about what you can do right now for your unborn grandchildren, right? You're 20 years old. One day you're going to have kids, grandkids, and great grandkids. If you start investing for them now, then you can literally create millions of dollars in wealth for them very easily, that they can live off of in 80 years, 70 years, or whatever, right? So anyway, let's keep going. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. Also, please make sure you subscribe and all that good stuff to drboycetv.com. And don't forget, we're on iTunes. So if you want to check us out on iTunes, feel free. Just look for my name, Boyce Watkins. All right, so what else? I believe every church should have a program of entrepreneurship. I think in the church, you should have experts. You probably got some entrepreneurship experts in your church that will, I'm sure, be happy to volunteer to teach entrepreneurship to the congregants. I would suggest having something there where they can learn these things. I believe every Black person, every Black child especially, should learn how to start a business by the age of 12. They should also learn how to invest. They should also learn how to buy real estate. So everybody in your church, if you really want to help save souls and you really want to help them to save their sanity, then have some sort of program in your church to teach entrepreneurship, make that part of the culture. Next, I recommend creating a microloan or investing program in your church, right? So where the church creates its endowment, right? The goal with the endowment is to grow the endowment and to make adequate investments in, with the endowment money. Well, one of the uses for the endowment funds could be the people in the church. They have good businesses, good business ideas. You form a contract with them. You say, okay, we'll give you $5,000 to get this thing going in exchange for a percentage of ownership, or maybe in exchange for, interest or whatever it is. But you make these little micro loan investments in members of your church. That way they win. They're getting capital that they need, and you're also winning because you're making a good investment. Just make sure that everything is crystal clear and transparent. That means, like, for example, I won't invest in anything you're doing unless my accountant can go in and log in and see exactly how much money's made, and we can review the books. If we can't review the books, then we're not gonna do business with you in that regard. Now, somebody says, are you reading the email responses? This is an email, so I don't know what you mean by that question. I'm sorry. I'm starting a new business this year with my wife and my sons. Good for you. Congratulations. My aunt owns a daycare center. Daycares are great businesses to have because everybody's going to keep having babies forever. Also, I think that every church should have an in-house financial expert, in-house financial advisor, somebody who's thinking about how the church can plant its seeds to grow more apple trees. Don't just give away apples, take the seeds out and grow trees with those apples. If you want to know, again, why a lot of NBA, NFL players go broke is for two reasons. One, in many cases, they're too generous. And two, they're not thinking at all about ways to generate wealth. They're taking water out of the water faucet, but they're not thinking, well, what's going to happen when this faucet shuts off? So what they're basically doing is the faucet is their paycheck. So the NBA team is trickling money into their bank account, and like water faucet is putting water into a cup, and they're taking this bucket of water and they're giving it away to everybody. And then you run out of water and you put the bucket back under the water faucet and you get more water. Well, what if the faucet turns off? You see, we don't think about what happens if the faucet turns off, or how to build a faucet so that you can actually be the one generating the wealth in some other way, or having multiple faucets. That's why they use the term multiple streams of income. Well, if I'm an NBA player, my thought is, okay, I've got one great stream of income. That is my ability to jump 40 inches off the ground and dunk basketballs and all this other stuff. What if I lose that? What if I lose that stream of income? Well, if I'm smart, I'm going to do like LeBron James, and I'm going to invest in film companies. I'm going to invest in stocks and bonds. I'm going to invest in real estate so that I can have all these other streams of income, so that when I'm done playing basketball, I'm not going to end up broke. I'm not going to end up on one of those ESPN documentaries. Okay. But also that comes from myself or the people around me having a basic economic understanding of the pillars of wealth. People who don't understand wealth don't usually keep it, because when you give it to them, they spend it all up and then it's gone. People who don't understand wealth usually don't keep it, they usually don't earn it, and they usually don't grow it, because these are skills that you have to learn from somebody, right? Think about this. I mean, that's why do you think lottery winners go broke so often? Well, lottery winners go broke because most lottery winners are bad investors to begin with. Buying a lottery ticket is the worst thing in the world to do with your money. So when a lottery ticket wins the lottery, or lottery winner wins the lottery, they just start buying more lottery tickets and doing other things with their money, and then eventually the money's gone. They're not thinking, oh, how do I position this money so I can keep it, so I can earn more money, create other streams of income with it, and grow it, right? Money is supposed to be capital. Capital is supposed to be invested, and those investments are supposed to generate additional income for you, and additional capital gains and additional growth. I think that also, last but not least, I think, again, going back to the model that I mentioned to you, churches not just being obsessed with charity, but also being obsessed with investment in their people. I think that would also mean thinking about job creation. So creating a job doesn't just mean, we're going to hire secretaries who can work in the sanctuary or work in the pastor's office and do work for the church and we pay them a paycheck. Job creation might also mean investing in businesses that will create jobs and literally maybe calculating how many jobs you think will come out of that. So for example, when I saw that church that had the Subway franchise, well, guess what? They bought the franchise and the 2 or 3 people working in the franchise were members of the church. So you generated a few things. You generated wealth because you now own this franchise, which can go up in value over time. You've generated income because every Sunday everybody's tearing down the Subway because they're all hungry after church, and then they're eating all through the week because the church is having programs and they're bringing people through and people are stopping through to get food. You've also created jobs because you now got members of the church that are now working in the franchise, and so all the way around. And then so the church is benefiting in a lot of ways. Right? The church is not just saving souls and helping people. They're also helping themselves. It's okay for a church to help itself. I don't believe that it's wrong for a church to help itself. I don't believe that it's wrong for a pastor to live a good life. What is wrong, I believe, is for us to not think at higher levels and to embrace economic literacy and economic intelligence so that we have all this waste that goes through the community. Do you understand, Black people, that you waste about $1 trillion a year? You waste $1 trillion a year. So everybody talk, you got all these movements. You got Us Too, ADOS, Tangibles 2020, all good movements that are calling for reparations. And so if a candidate comes across and says, I want to push forward with $1 trillion reparations package for Black people, we would all cheer. We'd be super excited. It would be a big deal. It would be great. $1 trillion is a lot of money. But I want you to think about this. How can you get excited about receiving $1 trillion in compensation for 400 years of the worst slavery known to man, but then while knowing that you give away $1 trillion a year? You give away, Black spending potential. I don't want to call it spending power because there's not much power in the spending only. There's only power in investing, just so you know. But Black spending potential is about $1.2, $1.3 trillion a year. You give about $1 trillion of that to white people. So what gives? Right? So we got to shift our thinking on this. I think churches provide a huge opportunity for us. I believe that reparations for Black people are actually going to come from Black people. I believe reparations for Black people are not going to come from the white government. I believe reparations for Black people are going to come from the Black government. I believe that reparations for Black people will actually come through increased economic intelligence, and increased ability to keep the money that we earn, and increased ability to earn additional streams of income, and an increased ability to grow the wealth that we have. I think that's where our reparations are going to come from. So if you're tired of waiting on politicians to give you a reparations package, give it to yourself, give it to your family right now, because I guarantee you this is, so let's put the churches to the side for a minute. Let's talk about the church that is your house. Your home is an institution if you choose for it to be that. In that institution, I guarantee you, I put it on everything right now, that if you embrace the rules of economic intelligence, if you understand the pillars of wealth, stock and bond investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship, you engage in specific amounts of economic discipline and strategy, that in one generation, your family will be light years ahead of 80–90% of all white people. You won't be thinking about inequality as it pertains to your life, because most white people are going to look at you and be a little bit jealous because you're going to be doing better than they're doing. Because there are Black people in America who are doing better than white people, and they didn't all get there because they were selling out. Many of them got there because they were thinking differently. The way you're trained to think in this society when it comes to money is entirely self-destructive. You're only taught to destroy yourself financially, and that's why you see so much economic misery all around this country. So anyway, that's it. These ideas are neither liberal nor conservative. They are just entirely Black. That's where I stand. I have big bones to pick with the liberals, because the liberals teach you helplessness. The liberals teach you that you need the government and that's all that you have. The liberals teach you that that there's no such thing as Black power. They teach you that integration is the best thing that ever happened to you. That's why you got Black people on TV celebrating this integration thing. There's not a whole lot to celebrate. Integration, what integration did to Black people is it went to you and said, stop building on your own. Stop building your own schools. Stop building your own businesses. Stop building your own institutions, and come and be a part of our institutions. Come work for us. Come serve us. Now we can't help everybody. We can't help the masses, right? But because we got to help our masses first. But we'll cherry pick a few select Negroes, and then we'll parade them on TV so that you think that there's a chance for you too. I watched something. I was watching the Quincy Jones documentary, and I saw the dedication of the African American History Museum in DC, which is a decent museum. It's not that bad, but let me tell you a little something I noticed about this documentary. So I saw a bunch of really famous Black people in this museum, right? I saw, at this whatever it was, I guess this ceremony or whatever it was, and I saw Oprah Winfrey, I saw John Legend, I saw Barack Obama, I saw all these respected, well-known Black people at this ceremony, right? And I was thinking to myself, I said, that's really interesting. I said, number one, I said, first thing I observe about this list of people that I'm looking at is all of these people were built by white folks. All these people were built by white institutions. They were famous and they're loved because white folks who control media put them on TV and paraded them to the world. And so they become your icons. They become your heroes. That's how they got there. So without the help of white folks, they never would have been even a part of this event, right? But then I thought about it and I said, this is also interesting that here you have this select group of Black people that are, seemingly doing very, very well. But then you've got the masses of Black people who have not advanced a bit. So I need you to ask this question. I need you to, and I had to sort of soul search and say, why does this irritate me? I don't know. What am I being a hater right now? Why does this irritate me? And what I realized is I said, what irritates me about this is this. You're getting all these so-called, symbols of Black success. You're getting all these so-called pieces of evidence to show you that Black people are doing great and that everything's wonderful and that integration was the best thing that ever happened to you. Well, if that's the case, then why are the majority of Black people struggling? If that's the case, then why has Black wealth dropped in the last, 5-10 years? If that's the case, then why are Black children not getting properly educated? Black people don't feel any more empowered. The Black community as a collective is doing worse. When you got all these so-called symbols of Black success out here, all these Black people on TV that are showing you how great how great it can be to accomplish your dream if you never give up. Taraji P. Henson gives these inspirational speeches about going to Hollywood and with $2 in a pocket or whatever. Well, everybody can't be Taraji P. Henson. Why? Well, because white institutions don't have room for everybody. They only have room for so many people. They only have room on the cruise ship for a couple of select Negroes. They got room for you on the slave ship. They got room for you on the slave ship, and they'll take a couple of select Negroes and put them on the cruise ship. Whereas before, when Black people were building our own ships, we could put everybody on those ships. So what I'm proposing to you is, somebody says, bro, with all due respect, you came from white institutions. You're damn right. You're damn right, VJ Polo. We're all products of all of this. We're all products of this brainwashing. I spent many years thinking that all this made sense. I spent many years respecting and honoring these people who were flashed before me on TV. All of us are affected by this. I'm not excluded from this group of people. So what I'm saying to you is what I figured out, though, when I was about 35 years old, is I said, this isn't working. This doesn't make any sense. We're not moving forward. We're going backward. If you look back 50 years, Black people had, more opportunities and wealth in certain areas than we have now. Our unemployment rate was better then than it was now. We had a Black president, and unemployment didn't get any better for Black people. So I was trying to figure out what's really going on, and that's what it is. You don't have solid institutions. You don't have solid institutions. So if I was king of the earth and I could make any law that I wanted to make right now, tomorrow, for Black children, I don't need to be king of the earth. I need to just be king of the Black community, or King Kong consciousness, or the Prince of Pan-Africanism, right? I'm being an asshole today. But here's what I would do. You know what I would do? First thing I would do is I don't have it in the book anywhere, but I would have every Black child read Powernomics as when they're young. They would read it like the Bible. I would literally have them read it and read it again and read it again and recite the principles, etc., so they understand the essence of economic competition. I would have every Black child before the age of 12 learn a few basic things. Black history, so they know who they are. They don't think that they're white people with blackface. I would have them learn the basics of stock investing, the basics of real estate, how to buy a home, how to buy rental property, all that stuff. The basics of entrepreneurship, how to start a business, how to run a business. I would also have them learn how to create an institution, how to create an organization. You see, we learn how to organize from a social standpoint. We learned social organization because we grew up watching the civil rights movement and we shall overcome in the marches and all that stuff. So when we think about organize, we're thinking like, oh, I'm going to organize, I'm going to get petitions, I'm going to get, a bunch of people to show up to a march or whatever, right? Which we know is not an effective tool for Black progress. I think that we should teach our children how to organize economically, not just on an aggregate scale in terms of buying Black, but also organizing in terms of the formation of businesses and institutions and organizations where several Black people are working together to create companies that can create jobs for more people. If you structure and you scale the organization in a specific way, you set up your board of directors and you set up your management structure and you set up your HR and your financing and everything else, you can create an institution that can sustain a lot of people. That's why the term family business is a powerful term. If you got a solid, viable family business, then nobody in your family has to go ever work for anybody unless they choose to do that, right? If you are a part of the, the Carnegie family, or I think it's Dow. I think if you're part of the Dow family, or I think that's one of the families. All these rich families that are out here, a Rockefeller, you ain't got to work for nobody. You go work for the Rockefeller organization, even if you are a Trump. Even if you're a Trump, the Trump kids ain't working for nobody. They're not filling out. They don't know how to fill out a job application. They'll never know how to fill out a job application. Okay, so I encourage you to kind of look at the different models of economic success and get away from just thinking about it in terms of liberal, conservative, or dependence on government, job searching. Those are certainly avenues to get certain resources, but I think we underappreciate all the other avenues that link to job creation, economic development, investing, and really strong quid pro quos. So I don't want people to do charity for the Black community. I would rather see people invest in the Black community. Also with politicians, I don't want them to create more jobs for Black people per se, because I don't care if more Black people go work for white people. Like, that doesn't make them happier. It doesn't make them better off. It doesn't empower them. I'd rather see them provide capital so Black business owners can create strong businesses that can employ Black people. I don't really want to see more money dumped into public schools so the public schools can educate more Black kids. I'd rather have them take that money out and give that money to Black educators so they can go hire dozens of Black teachers and educate thousands of Black children, right? That's what I think we need to do. We need to change how we're thinking about all these things because much of what we've been taught to believe about all this is wrong, okay? So churches are one institution through which I give honor to good Black churches out here. Because they in many communities, they are the first educators. They have taken care of many people's children. They have fed many families. They have provided guidance, support, and hope for many, many people. And so I'm not one to come and tell you that I think all Black churches are bad. They're all different. They're just different. What I am challenging churches to do, anybody associated with a church, and I encourage you to even feel free to take this video to your church and play it in church. I encourage them to embrace economic intelligence as a standard, as a requirement, as an ethical commitment that you must make as a steward of Black resources. To whom much is given, much is expected. So you have all this money that you're collecting from all these people. So it is up to you to be super intelligent about the ways you maximize the impact that money can have. That's my 2 cents. That's my pitch. I hope people heard it. I hope I can help affect some people's lives with this conversation. Okay, so before I go, hit the thumbs up button. Please, if you're on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button. Everybody, please stop what you're doing right now. Please hit the thumbs up button. We really need you to do that. Also, you really want to get on the text list. Text the word Boyce to 31996. Remember, YouTube and Facebook do not send out notifications. They're constantly blocking our channel. We have 330,000 subscribers on Your Black World, and it's crazy that we'll have 80 people watching the live stream. That means they're throttling, they're blocking our message. So in order for the message to get out, we need to hit you directly. So please text the word Boyce to 31996. Text Boyce to 31996. Also, we're on iTunes now. So if you have iTunes and you want to listen to us on your way to work or etc., it's not just me. I support lots of Black people in the community that have a strong voice. So look for my name on iTunes, Boyce Watkins. And finally, last but not least, we have the Economic Bundle Pack that I put together, which is a series of digital downloadable lectures on a variety of topics that I know will affect your life. Each lecture is about an hour and a half, and the topics cover things like, how to create your own family bank, the keys to financial security, how to start a business with very little money. My lecture with Minister Farrakhan that was about 2.5 hours long. What else is here? An introduction to the basics of wealth building, how to create a business plan that puts your business on top, the rules of economic self-defense, how to turn your child into a millionaire, which is a very simple formula. I have a very simple model for this, which can guarantee that by the time your child's 35 or 40, they'll either be millionaire status or extremely close. If you follow basic rules with your child when they're early. And then also, if you happen to be in a relationship or want one, there's the 7 golden rules of love and money. So if you're interested in taking advantage of the bundle pack, you can get 40% off. Just go to drboycebundlepack.com. Somebody please type that in, drboycebundlepack.com, drboycebundlepack.com. So feel free to check that out. Did I see rapper Killer Mike's show on Netflix? Yes, I did. I talked to Killer Mike last week and he agreed to come on the podcast, but I got to catch up with his schedule because he's very, very busy. But I love the documentary. It's called Trigger Warning, and Mike did a great job. And I'm a big fan of Killer Mike, but sometimes we don't agree all the time. I know we don't agree on that Bernie Sanders stuff. I'm not going to support Sanders if he doesn't support reparations. So anyway, take care, everybody. Have a good day. He said hashtag church is over. Yeah, I know, right? I guess I was doing a little bit of preaching, but I hope the preaching was beneficial to you. And I hope that you feel more empowered as you go through your life. I want to see you win. You can win. Don't let anybody tell you any different. So I'll see you guys later. Have a good day. I'm going to go get something to eat. Talk to you soon.